Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat for Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to the second race of the season here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, fresh off of a Daytona 500 victory actually from Kyle Busch. But first of all, obviously we have the Truck Series to get through, then the Xfinity Series. For the Truck Series, I actually had myself in the truck. Obviously I have the Truck Series for more of like either myself or real drivers like last time out in Daytona. We had Lando Norris in the truck, finished in P3 just like our Xfinity car, and today it was me in the 25 truck for I think the first time. This is the first race I've done at least in a lower series since probably 3 seasons ago or so. So I was very excited to get in the truck once again. We started up inside the top 10. Obviously we switched manufacturers this season and switched numbers on the truck. Now it's come through out of turn 2 at this point, heading down the back straightaway. We were right already up inside of the top 5 on this first lap, so I was very confident with the speed in the truck. Atlanta usually treats us well in both the trucks and Xfinity, and we usually fare pretty well in the Cup Series as well, except we haven't been able to get a win in the Cup Series at Atlanta, or really many mile and a halves in general. But we were moving our way forwards. At the end of the first lap, we had already been making a move for the lead on Matt Crafton as we went down into turns 1, and sure enough, we would be able to clear Crafton for the lead, and it was pretty much just a breeze for myself here in Atlanta in the Truck Series, as we would take the lead and we would drive away. We were just opening the gap as the race went on. I don't do stages in trucks and Xfinity because I do shorter races in trucks and Xfinity, because if I did 25% for every series, I would be doing a lot of recording, and I don't want to do a whole ton of it. Now as we came through at this point, past the midway point, we had been continuing to drive away. It was actually, I think, Ross Chastain that had moved up into the second position. Crafton had fallen down the order just a little bit there, as he was down to about 5th place at this point, but I was just continuing to hang on to the lead. Now this was actually on the final lap as we went down towards turns 3 and 4 for the final time here in Atlanta. So obviously we haven't done a truck race in quite a long time, so it's been a while since we've had a chance to win one of these things, but we're going to come through into the Truck Series and we're actually going to get the win here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. So very happy with that. Obviously couldn't have gone better because we just had so much speed in the truck here today in Atlanta. So obviously we get to do our first truck burnout in quite some time. I think we had 1 or 2 wins last season in the Truck Series, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 1, and it was with Greg Biffle in the truck for us, and it might have been in Atlanta because Atlanta just treats us so well. But this season we want to carry on the momentum throughout the rest of the season. We started off last season in both series very well, and then we just couldn't carry the momentum through the rest of the season after we kind of got to the midway point. And hopefully we can do that, like I said, this time around, as you see the finishing order on your screen. So we get P1. Ross Chastain was indeed in the second position. So obviously 32nd, Joe Nemechek, Austin Hill 31st. But now obviously it's time to head into the Xfinity Series here. Keep in mind, Truck Series, we are locked into the playoffs now. And if we can maybe get a win here today in the Xfinity Series, we'll be once again locked into the playoffs, and we can just set our sights on just building our cars to get better throughout the season now, as we had Smoke GT in the car here today in Atlanta Motor Speedway. And similar to the Truck Series, we weirdly coincidental, in Daytona we finished 3rd in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series. In the Truck Series today, I actually qualified P7, and Smoke GT qualified P7 here in the Xfinity Series. Can he match the finishing position that we had in the Truck Series for myself with a win? We're about to find out, as he was moving his way through on this bottom lane on this first lap, getting into Michael Annett and whatnot there, as he was actually getting a shove from behind from Noah Gragson. I accidentally had draft partners turned on when I did the Xfinity race, as Smoke got through out of turns 4 very loose. A little bit of contact with Noah Gragson there, as Gragson would go past, but he would be able to get his way back to the inside of Gragson, past Gragson, made it 3 wide with Christopher Bell and Jeffrey Earnhardt past them both, and then he would pass Tyler Reddick and get up into the second position right behind Justin Allgaier now as he came out of turns 4, and Smoke putting the pressure on the 7 car for JRM as he came through to cross the line right at his quarter panel as they go down towards turns 1, and Smoke is going to go through to take the lead here in turns 1. So Smoke GT out front now in Atlanta, just like we did with the Truck Series, and once again, kind of like I did in the Truck Series, we didn't look back. It was just kind of a breeze after that point, and he had a little bit of pressure here and there from the 20 of Christopher Bell, but Bell just seemed to be struggling to close that gap to him, as it was now Tyler Reddick in 3rd. Justin Allgaier had been dropped down to 4th, and he was trying to hold on to a top 5 position. But now as we came through to the final lap here in Atlanta, it was Tyler Reddick and Bell still going at it for second and third and whatnot, as Smoke, though, leading the way down this back straightaways. This was now actually on the final lap. That was 2 to go, so this is now the final lap as he went down into turns 1. He had changed the lane up a little bit now as he had such a large gap right now that he could actually afford to experiment a little bit here as he went down the back straightaway for the final time here. It was still Reddick and Bell second and third, but Smoke GT goes down through turn 3 and turns 4 for the final time here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. We started the weekend off great with a truck win for myself, and now Smoke GT is going to come through to win here in Atlanta for us in the Xfinity Series, and just like that, we locked our 2 teams in the playoffs only in the second race of the season. So very, very happy with those performances. The Smoke GT gets to burn it down. I really think we might actually stick with the red numbers on the car. I actually tried the white numbers, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, so I think we're going to stick with the red ones for now, but maybe we'll see what happens as the season goes on. But now, 2 races down, 2 wins. Very, very solid for us, and now we have to set our sights on the Cup Series weekend here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. But first, we got the finishing order on your screen. Cole Custer rounds out the top 10. Obviously, we don't really have any affiliate with the SHR team anymore now that we moved to CGR and Chevrolet, but there you see how much money we make just from the Xfinity Series races. The money is still not very realistic. We wouldn't make $2 million on an Xfinity Series weekend. But now it's time to go into the Cup Series weekend here at the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. A track that we're hoping that we can run very well at. Kyle Busch comes into this race locked into the playoffs after winning the Daytona 500 for the first time in his career. Also, what was big about that win, he tied Dale Earnhardt for 76 wins. So if Kyle Busch gets one more win, he will pass the Intimidator, the legend of Dale Earnhardt, which would put him at 77 wins, obviously. Now, as we would get underway here for the practice session in Atlanta Motor Speedway, the goal was to hit a 29.5. My first attempt was a 29.691, but we came around through this time by crossing the line. We beat our goal there with a 29.532, so I was very happy with that, and I didn't feel like we needed to practice anymore. I just ran a preset setup for this race. You don't really have to make adjustments to the car at all here in Atlanta for myself to run decent. So we came through to qualifying, coming through to cross the line down this front straightaway, 29.612, and that puts us down in P20. We usually do not qualify well in Atlanta, so I was fully expecting that kind of an effort. So obviously we're going to have to do some work here in the race if we want to have a chance at anything. But now you see the top 10 on the pole. We got Joey Logano as we get ready to go green here in Atlanta.
Welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the running of the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. This is a 1.5 mile oval and a very popular stop for the fans and a handful for the drivers. Let's head on down to the track and get set to go racing.
All right, thank you, Rick Allen. We're ready to go green here for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Eric Almirola is one of our friends. He'll race us clean along with Matt Benedetto, who looks like he's starting towards the back of the field. And there you see your pole winner of Joey Logano side by side with the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch, last race's winner in the Daytona 500, starts in the 3rd position as we are ready to go green here from P20. Martin Truex Jr., not a good qualifying effort from himself now as the green flag is out, and we are underway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. continues his long winless streak. He hasn't won anything in over a season now, and we're going to see maybe if he's going to be a driver to watch for today. Now, as you're actually going to notice at the end of stage 2, I'm going to bring in a new little feature that was requested by a subscriber a while back last season to do like a ones to watch type deal, and I'm going to do that at the end of stage 2 now as we go down towards turns 3 on this opening lap here in Atlanta. Running this higher lane, you can sometimes get away with running the higher lane here in Atlanta, especially I think on the longer run you can make it work a little bit better. I've noticed in past races. Now as we complete that first lap, 19 to go in the stage. I should mention I was running on 3X wear in this race as usual, but I think in the next race we're going to experiment and try 4X wear with feel and tires and see what difference it makes. Now as we go down this back straightaway behind Truex and Eric Almirola, we come through out of turns 4 on lap 2 now, and then the 8 actually gets to my outside right now. 3 wide up the middle between Hemrick and Bubba Wallace now as we go down towards turns 1. Elliott and Price behind us in the 47 and the 9 as we go down into turns 1. A little bit of contact there with the 43 and the 8 as we push way up the track now, but thankfully we keep things clean. only a couple laps in, and it's been a wild start already. We would continue going 3 wide up the middle as we would get past Bubba Wallace, and we go up between the 19 on the front straightaway now on lap 4, nearly making contact with Truex. We did get into the back of Ryan Newman as we go down into turns 1, though. Finally, an opportunity to get to the inside as we hit the apron. We're sideways now 3 wide again, though, up the inside of the 47, and then the 41 of Daniel Suarez, who was a great contender of the Daytona 500 last episode, as he had a chance to win it now as we go down into turns 3, and he would continue this battle with myself, but we would clear this group of cars finally and start to drive away from them as I hit the apron once again there, as that was a bit of a problem. But like I said, we drove away from that group of cars. We got to Eric Almirola and the 38 of David Reagan. We passed Almirola going down into turns 1, and then we also get up the inside of Reagan for a moment, but he actually stays clear through the center of the corner, but then we do battle back on the exit, and now we're going to be able to pass David Reagan for P14 as Denny Hamlin at this point was leading the way. Hamlin coming off an incredible season last season and actually blew the championship away in the final corner on the final lap, which was very disappointing for him. He had, 8 wins, I think, last season, just one short of Kyle Busch the season before, who had 9 wins. But on lap 10 of 20 now on the stage, we passed our former teammate Clinton Boyer, who's having a decent run along with a decent running William Byron at this point, but we would have the speed to get to the inside of Byron, down the back straightaway side by side with the Hendrick driver, still looking for his first career victory here in the series. As we would clear him, we would get to the inside of Tyler Reddick now on lap 12, but we had actually had some drivers that were now getting ready to come to the pit lane, as obviously we had to start thinking about that. There you see up ahead, it looks like it's the 20 of Eric Jones for Joe Gibbs Racing coming into the pit lane. We're side by side still with Tyler Reddick at this point with just 8 laps to go in the stage. Like I said, getting ready now to make pit stops at this point, so I don't want to be in a big battle with Tyler Reddick, but I know I have the speed to clear him. So sure enough, through turns 1 and 2 we clear him, and I decided to just slide up in front of him to make sure we solidify our position. Now as we came through on towards the end of lap 13, Reddick actually just behind me decided to come into the pit lane. There you see our teammate Kurt Busch, who's beating us, currently comes into the pit lane as a tire icon had come on at this point. So sure enough, now on lap 14 I'd actually decided to run the outside lane, and then I get into the wall. The 9 of Chase Elliott would blow right on past me, as I had noticed he was closing the gap to me as this run went on. He certainly seems to be a fast driver, but I just wanted to experiment with the outside lane, and I completely messed it up, as you can tell. But either way, we would continue to stay out for about another lap or so as a bunch of drivers this time came in, including the leader of Denny Hamlin. So we were now P3 behind Elliott and Blaney on lap 15, and then we all decided it was time to come into the pit lane as we get very sideways. That was a really awkward pit entrance for myself as I hit the brakes and the car shot right, so that was very unfortunate. But thankfully, we get into the pit lane without any issues. No speeding penalties now as we would come in. 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. Very straightforward call at this point in the first stage. It was a 15.2 estimated second pit stop now as they put the right side tires on, so we are in a pretty good shape right now, and hopefully we can come out without any yellows or anything and maybe get out in front of Elliott and Blaney if we're lucky. But now at turn 4 there's a big crash. The 2's rolling in the 88 and the 24 just drove under him as it's a big crash here out of turns 4. The caution comes out because of that after we get the tires on and exit the pit lane, and all of a sudden that's going to line us up in P3 here for the restart. A violent crash for Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, and William Byron there, as that was certainly unexpected. The green flag, though, gets back in the air. This only left us 2 laps to go on the stage. All of a sudden, we were running, 8th, 9th maybe, or something like that, maybe 7th, and all of a sudden we're up in P3 with a chance maybe to battle Blaney for the stage victory as we go down into turns 1. Elliott also gets up in the mix. I think this was very fortunate for Chase Elliott because I think he has one of the faster cars here today in Atlanta. As we go down this back straightaway, they both get away from me now as I just have no speed on the short run apparently as we go down towards turn 3. I know we don't have the fastest car here today in Atlanta. I could tell that very early on as we hit the apron there through turns 3. We're going to slide up the track, and our former teammate Clinton Boyer, he's going to try and pounce on the opportunity. He gets to my inside as we come through to start the final lap here in stage 1. Ryan Blaney out front. He has been winless for a long time in this career mode now. Has come through getting into the right side of Boyer just a tiny bit, and that pushes me up the track. Palmadar now in the 5th position just behind us as we go down this back straightaway for the final time in the stage, trying to get right on the right rear of the quarter panel of Clint Boyer as we go down into turn 3 for the final time here in the stage, and we hit the apron again, and this time we get very sideways. We hang on to it, a big save as we exit turn 4, but the 47 drives straight into the back of me, puts me in the wall as we come through to cross the line, and that may or may not have been me trying to intentionally turn him as we came through to cross the line in stage 1. P9 all of a sudden when we should have really been 3rd or 4th. I just got really loose after hitting the apron. We saved it, and the 47 just drove straight into the back of me and messed up the bumper, messed up the right side, messed up the left side. I don't think I really needed to pit, but I wanted to pit because I really didn't want to deal with this damage in stage 2. So I put 2 cans of fuel on the car, or in the car, 4 tires, and obviously we drop down now to P24, unfortunately, as we get ready to go green. Stage 2 is now underway here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch on my inside. There's my teammate of Kurt Busch just behind us. Jimmy Johnson gets a very slow restart. Logano doesn't get very well off either now, as up ahead is Harvick and Hamlin as we go down into turns 1. Chase Elliott, though, leading this race as it was actually BJ McLeod who made it 3 wide through turns 1 and 2 to take the lead for a brief moment now as we got into the back of Harvick, and that slowed us up a little bit here as we go down this back straightaway on this first and opening lap of the second stage here in Atlanta. But Elliott would find his way back out front here in the mile-and-a-half cookie cutter track now as come through, getting into the side of Logano just a little bit there as we exit turns 4, and we see a mix of slower cars in front of us, so we know it's going to get pretty wild as we're going to get very aggressive, making it 3 wide with Harvick as we go down into turns 1, trying to make this outside lane work. You can really make that outside lane work on restarts, I felt like. Now it's come through out of turns 2 side by side with our former teammate. Now we're going to get really aggressive there, just kind of barely getting through between the wall and Landon Castle. We would continue through now up to P20 as we came through on the end of lap 2 as we went down into turns 3. Elliott way out in front now as we go down into turns 1. We're sideways and we're actually 4 wide. What a big save that was, as we could have easily slapped that wall and just kind of, that wall would have just pulled us right in and we would have destroyed the right side now. So thankfully we get through that and actually go to the outside of the 32, actually tap the wall there as well. But either way, just continuing to move through the field at this point. It's certainly been a wild restart, and now we're sideways again as we exit turns 4. This time we do hit the wall. There was a tiny bit of contact with, I think, the 32 of LaJoy, and once again we get set back, but we would continue fighting our way back forwards now up the inside of the 4th. We got to the back of Daniel Suarez, but we just keep on moving our way forwards now up into P17 and getting just about into the back of Suarez again, but we would pass him. We would work our way up to now P13 after passing the 47 of Ryan Preece, running that outside lane again, and then what do? Well, I screw up again. I hit the wall here, so stage 2 not going very well for us, but here we are still in contention, at least for stage points now as we pass Austin Dillon. We get to the outside of the 51 of McLeod, and then as we go down into turn 3, Harvick right behind us goes spinning actually there, nearly collecting his teammate of Suarez, but then you see saw David Reagan and Tyler Reddick both looked like they got a little bit of a piece of it, and that would bring out a caution here about the midway point or so in stage 2. We would pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, regain 1 spot on the pit lane, and this would line us up on the inside now as we get ready to go back green. Chase Elliott leads the way back to the green flag now as we get underway with only about 7 laps to go here in the stage as we go down towards this first corner. So now we're in position to have a chance to get some stage points now as we're up the inside of Eric Almirola. I should actually mention, no, Chase Elliott restarted second. Chris Buescher took the lead on the restart now as we come through out of turns 2, heading down this back straightaway, pushing Eric Jones in the JGR 20 car as we go down towards the corner, running P10 at this point. Kurt Busch, our new teammate, up on the higher lane, is going to try and use that momentum through the center of the corner. You see William Byron up there in stage points paying position, so very good to see him up in the mix. There's a 3 wide in front of us. We're going to make it 4 wide. Why not? Because we just kind of messed over Eric Jones, but it works out at least in our favor as we go down into turns 1, and we're a little bit sideways on the entrance, but it's okay. Clint Boyer up in the mix for trying to take the lead away now as we went down the back straightaway. I was pushing my teammate Kurt Busch, but I would eventually go 3 wide up the inside of him. And on lap 14 with William Byron, Chase Elliott, though, had worked his way back out front. He had been driving away at this point, using that momentum to carry himself to the lead. Bowman had actually gotten into second place now as he came through on lap 15 of 18 through turns 1 and 2, going 3 wide up the middle between Blaney and the 37 of Chris Buescher. I thought it was a very good move at the time, and then as we go down into turn 3, I realized we're going to still be 3 wide up the middle. So now I'm knowing that it's probably not going to work in our favor, and we don't clear Blaney, so now we're going to be stuck still 3 wide in the middle. Jones gets to our inside. Hamlin is going to come through, so we all of a sudden drop down the order a good chunk now as we came through, approaching the final lap. We were down to P9 at this point as we came through to start the final lap of the second stage. Chase Elliott once again had driven away, so it really seems like once the 9 car can actually take the lead, he just kind of checks out and he's long gone. So definitely he's going to have something that needs to go wrong if anyone wants to beat him here today in Atlanta Motor Speedway as we go down this back straightaway side by side with Clint Boyer as we go down into turns 3 for the final time here in stage 2. Eric Jones on that bottom lane as we would get past Boyer, who had actually gotten forced 3 wide with myself and Austin Dillon as we come through. Coming to the line, Dillon is going to hang on to the position as we come through to finish P8 here in stage 2. William Byron rounds out the top 10. Elliott wins stage 2, so there's his first stage win, I think, of the season. We would obviously pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, but now we go into our NASCAR ones to watch. I say Denny Hamlin, he's kind of been showing some speed consistently all day. Kyle Busch as well, and then obviously Chase Elliott. He just seems to be really fast, and whenever he can take the lead, he just checks out. So we definitely got to watch out for a driver like Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin as we get ready, though, to go green here for the third and final stage where we will restart P7. We gain one position on the pit lane, which would line us up now on the inside as the green flag is out, and the third and final stage is underway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 37 laps to go. So on the 3X where we will have to make at least one green flag pit stop here today in Atlanta as Chase Elliott gets off very well. Denny Hamlin, he has a fairly decent restart considering starting on the outside, but Alex Bowman up into P2 as we actually got to the back of the 37 of Chris Buescher. That slows up my momentum a ton as we go down into turn 3. Jones gets past now as you see JGR drivers, 3 of them at least, up inside the top 10 as Martin Truex Jr. seems to be struggling out of the JGR camp here today. Obviously, Truex had a good season last season. He just couldn't win. He was up in the top 5 of points for the whole season, and then he just couldn't click off a victory, and that's really the reason I don't think he had a chance at a championship. Now, as we would come through, though, to clear our teammate of Kurt Busch now, as it's kind of nice to only have one teammate. At the same time, it kind of sucks because it's less options to work with now as we go down into turns 3 on lap 46 up the inside of Eric Jones. There you see Chris Buescher, who's been seeming to run very well today here in Atlanta Motor Speedway, so we might even have to watch out him. Maybe kind of like your dark horse here today in Atlanta with 35 laps to go as we go down up the inside of Jones into turns 1 now behind the 37 of Chris Buescher as we come through the center of the corner, getting to the inside of the 37. We tap the apron a little bit sideways. We nearly get into the left side of him, but thankfully we would hold on to the car now on lap 49 into turn 3. Hamlin had actually taken the lead away from Chase Elliott at this point. Now as we try to get up the inside of Buescher, we had brought Joey Logano and a bunch of other cars actually into this battle. Now as we went down into turns 1 on lap 50, Logano had actually gotten to my inside. Jones, he'd actually gotten to my outside, so we were 3 wide through the center of the corner, and on the exit now, we get cleared by Jones. Down to P8 we went. Jimmy Johnson, you could see him actually in the background. Johnson starting to find his way into the mix, but then we would follow Logano on the inside, and all of a sudden we'd finally get clear of the 37, so we were now up in P6 behind the 2-time champion of Joey Logano. And before some say he's only a 1-time champion, no, he is not. He won 1 championship in real life, and then he's won 1 championship in our career mode so far. So he's a 2-time champion now. Obviously, he won that championship in our first season of the Cup Series in very dramatic fashion when I took out the 31 and kind of messed over the Truex, the 19 of Truex. As you see, the caution comes out here with 28 laps to go. Hamlin out front, and we would pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. The 3 drivers to watch that I mentioned are actually running 1, 2, 3 right now, and Elliott would actually overtake Denny Hamlin on the pit lane. That could be big there for the rest of this race. Now as the green flag is back out, and once again we are underway. If it still goes green to the end, we still will have to make a green flag pit stop. 25 laps to go here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. Alex Bowman up there in P4, and it seems like every single season of our career mode, Bowman gets a really good start to the season to put himself in the playoffs, and then he's just kind of lackluster for the rest of the time. And we get very aggressive with Bowman, though, going 3 wide up the middle for probably the 10th time today, I think now, as we go down into turn 3. Elliott, he's going to run the outside lane, kind of protecting Kyle Busch there, and that's going to allow Joey Logano to get up in the mix for the lead as we drop down quite significantly on this restart there into the right rear of Harvick. We're still 3 wide up the middle between now Bowman and Harvick as we go down into turns 1, as these restarts have been pretty hectic here today as we're sliding through the center of the corner, but we hang on to the car, and now we're going to take P8 away, clearing Bowman on the exit of the corner. Sure enough, he would continue to run P8 now on lap 60, and as we came into turn 4, there goes the 12 of Blaney spinning now down the front straightaway, and that's quite a bit of contact with the outside wall. Not big damage, but then his friend of Bubba Wallace gets collected in the mix as well. Obviously, the caution comes out. The caution didn't come out until Kurt Busch actually passed me, which worked in my favor. This lines me up on the inside lane now in P9, as once again we get going here. This has been a wild race here today in Atlanta. We've had flips from Brad Keselowski when the 88 and the 24 drove under Keselowski after slamming into him. We've had Harvick crash, I think, and then Blaney just crashed. We've had a lot of 3-wide racing, including myself being 3 wide in the middle a lot here today, as we're now up the inside of our teammate Kurt Busch, just behind the 31 of Tyler Reddick, who still has 1 career win right now in the Cup Series. But sure enough, on lap 65, we would go up the inside of him and try to make a pass as we went down into turns 1. Elliott still out front here as Hamlin had now jumped down to 5th. Kyle Busch 2nd, Jones up there in 3rd place right now as we're going to go 3 wide up the inside now, the 22 and the 11, as we go down into turns 3. Logano just on my outside side by side as we come through the center of the corner. Hamlin, though, he is using that outside to his advantage. He's going to carry the momentum on the exit of the corner nearly to the outside of his teammate Jones, but he had to check up, but we would continue passing Logano. We had passed Hamlin out the inside of Eric Jones on lap 67 as we came out of turns 2. Elliott, though, still leading this race as Kyle Busch was trying to chase him down in the second position, but we would clear Eric Jones as we went down into turn 3, take over the third position, and then, sure enough, on lap 68 now, I had actually gotten Joey Logano to my inside as we came through the center of the corner, so he would pass me, Hamlin would pass me, Jones, you can see behind me, was starting to fall back. He fell way behind as we came through in the next few laps. On lap 71 now, down in P5, Hamlin passing Kyle Busch for second place. It looked like he might have the speed to contend with Chase Elliott now, as we would have to, though, also start thinking once again about green flag pit stops as we run P5 with just over 10 laps to go at this point as we go down into turns 3, just trying to make sure I don't hit that apron on that inside lane there, as there's only 6 laps of fuel in the car at this point. And then sure enough, on lap 74, Elliott had actually lost a little bit of time. Hamlin was closing in on him quite significantly now, as though, like I said, we had to get ready for pit stops. Hamlin and Logano come in, so I decide we're going to come in as well. Now as we come through out of turns 4, Harvick's going to get on my inside as well, as Harvick had a great entrance into the pit lane, but it's a very straightforward strategy here. I was going to go with about 1 can of fuel, and then obviously I wanted to do 2 tires of Sorry. I decided to take half a can of fuel, and then the caution comes out, so all of a sudden, I'm a little bit confused here. I'm not sure exactly what to do, so I just kind of let things play out here and let the team put 4 tires on the car, and then they threw the tires on, so I just decided to skip, and we lost a bunch of time. We all of a sudden are down outside of the top 15 here for the last restart of the race. So what I think happened was I had actually maybe pitted the car twice or something when I hit A to skip, which really was weird, but either way, that completely messed us over, and Chase Elliott. We moved our way forward, so on this final restart, we had actually climbed up inside the top 10 here as we were making moves. We come through now to the final lap after just kind of throwing away everything here in this race in Atlanta. We went down into turns 1. Elliott got messed over. Hamlin, somehow, he was in the same pit cycle as us, and he was up there in the lead as we came through out of turns 2. This was now on the final lap here in Atlanta, as there was only, I think there was 3 to go when I restarted, and I just didn't bother showing the last few laps, as it was just kind of a throwaway at that point. Jimmy Johnson, though, was up in second place as we came through out of turns 4, side by side, though, with Austin Dillon. As we come through side by side to the line, we're going to make contact, and we come through to barely beat Austin Dillon at the line for the 6th position there. It's so disappointing how that kind of went down, as I think it was actually my fault. I've been in a situation like that before, and I think I made a similar mistake. Basically, like, the caution comes out, you're already in the pit lane. By the way, Denny Hamlin locked in the playoffs now. Elliott got to be hurting after that one. But once I saw the 4 tires get put on, I just hit A to skip. And I think what I actually had done was I had hit A previously to pit the car or something, and that's why we ended up losing so much ground. We were like 20th after that happened, so very unfortunate. There you see Chris Buescher not very happy with us. I don't remember. We probably got into him at some point. We drove through the middle of 3 wide with like 20 different people here today in Atlanta, but we still at least get a decent finish out of it. P6, I think we were actually kind of finishing right around kind of where we deserved. On the really long run, we were able to get up there in the top 5, but kind of the short to medium run, I think we were like anywhere from a 6th to 9th place car, 69, I guess. Nice. Now, as there you see the point standings after Atlanta. Next time we go to Las Vegas, where I'm going to be trying 4X wear for both tires and fuel, and we're going to see how that goes there, as we are up front in the points in the Truck Series and in the Xfinity Series. In the Cup Series, though, we're a little bit behind, just barely inside the playoffs, though, now in P10. So definitely got a little bit of work to do, but I'm confident we're going to be able to get our way forward. So that will do it, though, for this episode here in Atlanta. So thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one for Las Vegas. Have yourselves a great day, everybody.